The first tools. When intelligence changed everything for millions of years, our ancestors had survived using little more than their bodies. They could walk farther than most animals. They could climb trees when danger approached. They lived in groups, watched for predators, and slowly adapted to the changing African landscape. But they were still physically weak. Compared to the powerful predators around them, early hominins stood little chance alone. They had no sharp claws, no powerful jaws, no thick fur to protect them from cold nights, no incredible speed. Nature had not designed them to dominate the world. Instead, evolution was preparing them for something far more extraordinary. The greatest weapon humanity would ever possess was not strength, it was imagination. Around 2.8 to 2.5 million years ago, Africa became even drier. Open grasslands expanded across much of eastern and southern Africa. Large herds of antelope, horses, elephants, and other mammals migrated across enormous distances. Where large herbivores gathered, dangerous predators followed. For our ancestors, survival became increasingly difficult. Food was unpredictable. Fruit was no longer available year-round. Roots required digging. Animal carcasses were fiercely contested by lions, hyenas, and vultures. Competition shaped every day. Some scientists once believed early humans became hunters before they developed technology. Today, evidence suggests the opposite. At first, our ancestors were probably opportunistic scavengers. Instead of defeating predators, they often arrived after lions or saber-toothed cats had finished eating. To most carnivores, the remaining bones held little value. But for early humans, those bones contained something priceless: marrow, rich in fat and calories. Bone marrow provided energy that was difficult to obtain from plants alone. The problem was obvious. Bones are incredibly hard. Breaking them with bare hands was nearly impossible. Then someone discovered something that changed history forever: a sharp stone. No one knows who picked it up first. No fossil can preserve that exact moment. Perhaps it happened by accident. A rock struck another during a flood. A broken edge sliced through animal skin. Someone noticed. Someone remembered. Someone repeated the action. That simple observation became one of the greatest turning points in the history of life. Unlike claws or teeth, tools could improve without changing the body itself. Knowledge could now evolve faster than biology. The earliest widely accepted stone tools belong to what archaeologists call the Oldowan industry. Named after Oldowan Gorge in Tanzania, these tools first appeared roughly 2.6 million years ago. They were astonishingly simple. A rounded stone, a few carefully placed strikes, one sharp cutting edge. To modern eyes they appear primitive, but they represented something entirely new. For the first time, an animal intentionally reshaped part of its environment to solve a problem. This was more than using an object. It was manufacturing technology. Another popular myth claims humans were the first animals to use tools. That isn't true. Chimpanzees use sticks to extract termites. Sea otters crack shellfish with stones. New Caledonian crows manufacture hooks from branches. Even octopuses collect coconut shells for protection. Tool use evolved independently many times. What made humans different was something else. We improved our tools, then taught others how to make them. Generation after generation, knowledge accumulated. Culture had begun. Scientists believe one of the earliest toolmakers may have been Homo habilis, whose name literally means handy man. Living around 2.4 to 1.5 million years ago, Homo habilis possessed a brain significantly larger than that of Australopithecus. Although still much smaller than modern humans, this increase reflected growing cognitive abilities. Planning, memory, learning, communication. Every improvement mattered. Making a useful stone tool required far more intelligence than simply picking up a rock. The angle of each strike mattered. Too soft, nothing happened. Too hard, the stone shattered. Skill developed only through practice, and practice required teaching. This marked another revolutionary change. Instead of relying solely on instinct, our ancestors increasingly relied on learning. A child could inherit knowledge without inheriting different genes. Ideas could now spread far faster than evolution itself. Some archaeologists believe these early camps became the first classrooms in history. Children watched adults shape stone. Adults corrected mistakes. Experience passed from one generation to the next. No writing existed. No spoken language as we know it today. Yet information survived. Another remarkable discovery transformed our understanding of these ancient humans. For decades, scientists assumed early hominins survived mainly on plants. Modern microscopic analysis of fossilized teeth tells a different story. Tiny scratches and chemical signatures reveal surprisingly varied diets. They consumed roots, seeds, fruit, insects, eggs, fish, and increasingly, meat. Even relatively small amounts of meat provided enormous nutritional benefits. Protein and fat helped fuel growing brains. This does not mean meat alone created intelligence, but access to richer food sources likely supported further brain development. Over hundreds of thousands of years, one myth still appears in countless books and movies. It claims early humans lived alone, constantly fighting for survival. Archaeological evidence paints a different picture. Several fossil sites reveal injured individuals who survived for months, or even years with serious disabilities. Broken legs, damaged arms, lost teeth. These people could not have survived without help. Someone brought them food. Someone protected them. Someone cared. Compassion existed long before civilization. Perhaps cooperation, not competition, became humanity's greatest survival strategy. As stone tools improved, another transformation quietly unfolded. Hands became more precise. Brains became larger. Communication became richer. Groups became more organized. The pace of change slowly accelerated. Yet one challenge still limited every community. When the sun disappeared, darkness belonged to predators. Cold nights restricted movement. Raw food remained difficult to digest. The next great discovery would not come from stone. It would come from fire. And once humans learned to control it, neither they nor the planet would ever be the same again. The discovery that changed human destiny for hundreds of thousands of years. Our ancestors carried stone tools wherever they traveled. Sharp rocks allowed them to cut meat, crack bones, dig roots, and defend themselves more effectively than ever before. Yet every evening, the same problem returned. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, darkness took control. Night belonged to predators. Lions, giant hyenas, leopards, and packs of wild dogs possessed far better night vision than humans ever could. Our ancestors were nearly blind after sunset. Their hearing was average. Their sense of smell was poor compared to most hunters. Without daylight, they became vulnerable. Many groups likely spent the night huddled together in trees or hidden among rocks, hoping morning would arrive before danger did. Then nature offered an incredible opportunity. Lightning. Across the African savanna, thunderstorms frequently ignited dry grass. Entire landscapes could burn for days. Animals fled in every direction. After the flames disappeared, strange things remained behind. Charred wood, cooked animals, warm ashes that continued glowing long after the fire itself had passed. Early humans almost certainly witnessed these natural fires for hundreds of thousands of years, before they ever learned to control them. At first, they probably feared them. Fire was unpredictable. It destroyed forests. It frightened animals. It spread without warning. But curiosity has always been one of humanity's greatest strengths. Someone eventually noticed that burned meat smelled different. It tasted different. It was easier to chew, easier to digest. Perhaps a group cautiously approached the remains of a wildfire after it cooled. Maybe they found animals already roasted by the flames. Without realizing it, they had discovered one of evolution's greatest advantages: cooking. Exactly when humans first controlled fire remains one of archaeology's biggest mysteries. Some evidence suggests our ancestors may have used fire as early as 1 million years ago. Sites such as Wonderwork Cave in South Africa contain burned plant material and ash that many researchers believe resulted from controlled fires deep inside the cave. Other discoveries at Gesher Benet Yaakov in present-day Israel reveal repeated use of fire. Nearly 790,000 years ago, scientists continue debating the earliest evidence, but one fact is clear. By several 100,000 years ago, fire had become an essential part of human life. Many people imagine someone inventing fire from scratch. That almost certainly never happened. Early humans did not create fire. They learned to preserve it. Groups may have carried glowing branches from one campsite to another. Keeping a fire alive became as important as finding food. If it went out, another lightning strike might not occur for weeks. Entire communities likely depended on protecting a single flame. Only much later did humans discover how to ignite fires whenever they wished. Fire transformed survival in countless ways. Predators feared it. Even powerful lions rarely approached active flames. For the first time, humans could safely remain on the ground after dark. Night no longer belonged entirely to other animals. The day had become longer. Communities gathered around campfires. Children stayed close to adults. Food was prepared. Stories were probably shared. Some anthropologists believe the campfire became humanity's very first classroom. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next not only through observation, but through conversation. Perhaps language itself became richer around these evening gatherings. Number fossil can preserve ancient words, yet the fire may have helped create them. Another remarkable transformation happened inside the human body. Cooking fundamentally changed nutrition. Raw meat requires tremendous effort to chew. Raw roots and plants often contain fibers that are difficult to digest. Heat breaks down these structures before food even enters the mouth. The result? More calories from the same meal. Scientists estimate cooked food provides significantly more usable energy than raw food. This extra energy may have supported the continued growth of larger brains. The famous biological anthropologist Richard Wrangham proposed the cooking hypothesis, suggesting that mastering fire fundamentally reshaped human evolution. Although researchers continue debating parts of this theory, most agree that cooking dramatically changed the relationship between humans and food. Another myth claims prehistoric humans constantly ate raw meat like movie cavemen. Archaeological evidence strongly suggests otherwise. Once fire became common, cooked meals gradually replaced many raw foods. Cooking also killed dangerous parasites and bacteria. It reduced food poisoning. Even today, controlled fire remains one of humanity's greatest health technologies. Fire changed geography as well. Cold regions that were once impossible to inhabit slowly became accessible. Humans expanded into higher elevations, cooler climates, new ecosystems. Without fire, much of Europe and northern Asia might have remained beyond our reach for hundreds of thousands of years. Fire also transformed the landscape itself. Modern research shows that ancient humans sometimes deliberately burned grasslands. These controlled fires encouraged fresh plant growth that attracted grazing animals. Instead of simply adapting to nature, humans had begun modifying it. This was one of the earliest examples of environmental engineering. Long before agriculture, long before cities, people were already reshaping ecosystems. Another fascinating discovery challenges an old stereotype. For decades, artists illustrated prehistoric humans living in filthy caves surrounded by chaos. Many archaeological sites reveal something quite different. Some camps display organized activity areas, one section for cooking, another for making stone tools, another for sleeping. Even without permanent houses, early humans often organized their living spaces surprisingly efficiently. Order existed long before civilization. Perhaps the greatest change fire created was psychological. For the first time, humans controlled something that almost every other animal feared. They could produce light where darkness ruled, warmth where cold dominated, safety where danger waited. Fire gave people confidence. It changed not only their environment, but the way they saw themselves within it. Still, one challenge remained. Even with tools and fire, survival depended on finding whatever food nature happened to provide. Fruits disappeared with the seasons. Animals migrated. Droughts devastated entire regions. Humanity still lived at the mercy of the wild. But evolution was preparing another extraordinary breakthrough. Soon, our ancestors would stop waiting for nature to provide. Instead, they would begin changing nature itself. The first farmers. When humans began to shape the world for nearly 3 million years, humanity survived by following nature. People hunted wild animals, gathered fruits, nuts, seeds, and roots, moved wherever food could be found. When resources disappeared, they simply packed their belongings and walked away. It was a life of constant movement. No permanent homes, no cities, no kingdoms, no borders. Every generation depended entirely on the changing seasons. Then, around 12,000 years ago, something remarkable happened. The last ice age slowly came to an end. Massive glaciers that had covered huge parts of North America, Europe, and Asia began retreating. Sea levels rose. Rivers changed course. Temperatures became warmer and, in many regions, more stable than they had been for thousands of years. The climate that allowed civilization to emerge had finally arrived. Scientists call this period the Holocene. Without it, agriculture might never have developed. One popular myth claims that farming was invented by a single civilization. The truth is far more fascinating. Agriculture appeared independently in several parts of the world. People living thousands of kilometers apart reached similar discoveries, without ever meeting one another. In the Fertile Crescent, stretching across parts of modern Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Israel, communities began cultivating wild wheat and barley. In China, early farmers domesticated rice and millet. In New Guinea, people learned to grow bananas and taro. In Mesoamerica, Ancient communities transformed a small, wild grass into one of history's most important crops, corn. Meanwhile, people in the Andes domesticated potatoes. In Africa, sorghum and pearl millet became essential foods. Humanity was conducting multiple agricultural revolutions at the same time. No single invention changed history more. The transition probably happened gradually. Imagine gathering wild grain every year from the same valley. Some seeds accidentally fall near your campsite. Months later, new plants grow exactly where you had been living. Someone notices. Instead of searching endlessly for food, perhaps food could be encouraged to grow nearby. That simple observation changed the future forever. Early farming was incredibly difficult. Wild plants were much smaller than modern crops. Ancient wheat scattered its seeds before people could harvest it. Early corn looked nothing like the large yellow ears we know today. It resembled little more than a thin stalk with a handful of hard kernels. Generation after generation, people unknowingly practiced selective breeding. They saved seeds from the strongest plants, discarded weaker ones. Over thousands of years, entire species changed. Modern crops are the result of countless human decisions repeated across centuries. Humans were shaping evolution itself. Animals followed a similar path. Dogs had already become companions long before agriculture. Now sheep, goats, pigs, and cattle slowly entered human communities. At first, these animals may have wandered near settlements to feed on discarded food. People tolerated them, eventually protected them. Later, they controlled breeding. Domestication transformed both humans and animals forever. Another widespread myth suggests farming immediately improved human life. Archaeology tells a much more complicated story. Early farmers often worked longer hours than hunter-gatherers. Their diets became less varied. Depending heavily on only a few crops increased the risk of malnutrition. Living in permanent villages also allowed diseases to spread more easily. Life expectancy in many early farming communities actually declined. So why did agriculture succeed? Because it produced something hunter-gatherer societies rarely could: food surpluses. Instead of everyone searching for food every day, some people could specialize. One person made tools, another built houses, another created pottery, others became traders. Eventually, some became leaders. For the first time, societies developed professions. This specialization became the foundation of civilization. Permanent villages slowly expanded. Mud houses became neighborhoods. Neighborhoods became towns. Towns eventually became cities. One of the earliest known urban centers, Atalhik in present-day Turkey, appeared around 9,000 years ago. Thousands of people lived there without streets. Families entered their homes through openings in the roofs. Wall paintings decorated interiors. Trade connected distant communities. Human society was becoming increasingly complex. Agriculture also transformed the human relationship with time. Hunter-gatherers focused mainly on today's needs. Farmers had to think months and sometimes years ahead. Seeds planted today would feed families much later. Harvests depended on planning. Patience became a survival skill. Calendars slowly emerged. People observed the movement of the sun, the moon, the changing seasons. Astronomy was born not from curiosity alone, but from necessity. Knowing exactly when to plant could determine whether an entire village survived. Another fascinating discovery challenges a common assumption. Many people imagine early farming societies as peaceful communities. The archaeological record suggests otherwise. As villages grew wealthier, they accumulated grain, animals, and valuable land. These resources attracted rivals. For the first time, humans had something worth stealing. Evidence of defensive walls, organized violence, and fortified settlements began appearing across different regions. Agriculture created prosperity, but also conflict. Ownership itself became a revolutionary idea. Land could now belong to individuals or families. Property could be inherited. Wealth could accumulate across generations. Human societies became increasingly unequal. Some families possessed more fields, more livestock, more influence. The roots of social classes were beginning to emerge. Yet farming also encouraged extraordinary cooperation. Irrigation canals required entire communities to work together. Harvest seasons demanded coordination. Storage buildings protected everyone during difficult years. The success of the village depended on collective effort. No single farmer could build civilization alone. Perhaps the greatest transformation happened inside the human mind. For millions of years, people adapted themselves to nature. Now, nature increasingly adapted to humans. Forests were cleared, fields appeared, rivers were redirected, Entire landscapes slowly changed under human hands. Without realizing it, our ancestors had begun creating a completely new world. But as villages expanded into cities, new problems followed. Who would make the rules? Who would settle disputes? Who would protect growing populations? The next chapter of human history would answer those questions. It would give rise to kings, governments, writing, and the world's first great civilizations.